Okay, we are live. Welcome to the show. Today, our guest is Jen Spencer. She leads a team of almost 200 people as CEO of SmartBug Media, a globally award-winning intelligent inbound marketing agency. Prior to her role at SmartBug, Jen was the VP of Sales and Marketing at Allbound, a partner relationship management software SaaS provider. Jen, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, so excited. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too. So you got a lot going on. You got a big team. Tell us a little bit about what's cooking at SmartBug. Share with us some of the fun clients and projects you guys are working on.
Sure thing. So as you said, we're an intelligent inbound marketing agency. We are HubSpot's top rated partner. So an elite partner with HubSpot. Also working with Klaviyo in the direct-to-consumer e-commerce space. And we're also a master elite partner with them. So usually our clients are coming to us because they want help in driving more revenue for their businesses. And they're using a platform like HubSpot if they're on that kind of that inbound side, typically more B2B, although sometimes very highly consultative B2C. Or on the e-commerce side, they're using Klaviyo, and we're helping them just drive more revenue for those goods that people are buying directly online. So that's really the way that we help, and it's pretty much if it's digital, we probably do it. So full service, but really leveraging the inbound methodology, which is really important to us.
So can you talk a little bit about inbound methodology? I mean, these are words we all hear, but
Sure.
I'm not sure if I've ever even gotten a full definition from an expert about what is the difference between inbound and outbound.
Well, I think inbound, and one of the reasons why I'm such a big fan of this methodology is it's all about identifying who is most likely to benefit most from whatever it is that you have to offer, really understanding who those people are. So yes, the business 100%, like what does that customer profile look like? But also really, really importantly, the people that actually sit in those roles who have lives, honestly, like outside of the job that they have, right? Who are those people and can we personify them? How do we create a semi-fictionalized representation of who they are? And then identify like, what is that buyer journey like? How do they go from not even knowing that they have a pain? They're just going about living their life, like doing something the way they've always been doing it or the way they've been taught, to recognizing, you know what, this is a little bit more uncomfortable than it needs to be, or things could be a little bit better. How do they recognize what that pain is? And then sort of self-diagnose, right, what's going on, and then seek solutions for their problems. And so if you think about like anytime you've maybe tried to personally problem solve something, maybe it's like fixing something in your house, or it's looking up like a symptom you might have, a medical, related issue, you probably are going through this sort of journey, right? And that's what the inbound methodology is all about. So for our clients, we help them really understand behaviorally what's going on with those buyer personas, the people who are actually going to make the purchase, who have the influence in the business, and what do you as a business mean to them? And the rest is all about using the right content, the right messaging, leveraging tools like HubSpot that allow you to provide the appropriate message at the right time to the right person. And it works. And it's so much more effective than reaching out cold to someone and telling them, like forcing a solution down their throat, telling them they have a problem, versus slowly helping people recognize that, you know what, like, I don't think I always have to keep living this way, or we don't have to keep operating this way, and kind of coaching them along and positioning yourself as the leader in that space and the trusted advisor that you probably are.
Very cool and very important. Something we've learned firsthand at Incentive Pilot. We were working with administrators running these big contests, enterprise companies, and we were building these tools and making their lives easier. And when we said, okay, well, how much time do you think this saves you? We heard, oh, it saves me 40 hours a month, like hands down,
Wow.
I'm saving hours. We had this position that we couldn't backfill because of COVID. Now we don't have to fill it. We replaced these workloads, and then we thought, oh, we have this wonderful story, but it turns out no one wants to hear the story like, oh, we're going to replace your job with software, right? Or we're going to save half of your time. And it is a much more nuanced and gentle journey of discovering how you can really find a bunch of efficiency. And that was a big wake up call for me. As you know, I've been on the product side for my entire career, just dipping my toe into the waters of marketing and going to market. And so I'm learning all of this firsthand. And I really like the way you describe that. Do you have any kind of advice for someone who's in my shoes, never really done this before? How do you start shifting your mindset or really understanding what might be the way to start a conversation with a potential customer that has the pain? They don't even know they have the pain.
Well, I hate to say it depends, right?
Of course, yeah.
That, right? And it's, if I can add a little call to action here, and I'm doing this very, trying to do this in a very generous way, in that SmartBug, we actually produce an obscene amount of content on this very topic. So if you go to our blog at smartbugmedia.com and you subscribe, you'll end up getting a lot of this kind of information on how to, like, what are the questions to ask, how to build your personas, tools of how you can actually, like, totally free stuff, like how you can actually go on and you can start to map out what that buyer journey looks like. But I think it's all about, like, how do you attract people? So it's not like the things that you discovered and in saving someone 40 hours a month, like, that's pretty significant, right? And that messaging is probably more relevant to them at one time in their buyer journey than in another. So the way that we like to think about, how do you start to collect all of this information so you know what you should be saying and when, is through buyer persona interviews. And I know we have a guide for that you can check out, that's on, like, here's the exact questions to ask. And so the best thing is when you have a new customer, right as they've just kind of gone out of that cycle of investigating and making a purchase and deciding to go with you, that's the perfect time to start asking them questions about when did they first realize, maybe there was another way they could probably do things. So, and I would say if you want to, like, do targeted outreach to people because you think, all right, listen, I just know that this type of person in this role at this size company most likely is going to benefit, then what kind of material can you create that for them? What kind of content can you create? What kind of tool? Like I just shared, we've got all these great tools, right? That's how we fill our pipeline at SmartBug. We drink our own champagne. We practice inbound marketing. So we think about, well, what are the different things that our prospects might be researching online? And let's make sure we have that content there for them. But if our team is doing any kind of targeted outreach, let's say, they're going to take that content and they're going to repurpose it. And instead of sending an email and saying, hey, can we take a meeting, or sending a LinkedIn request and being like, hey, can I have 15 minutes to show you my amazing product and how it's going to change your life? Instead, what can you give them? What can you teach them without asking for anything in return? And starting to make those deposits in your relationship with this person before you start making withdrawals. That's what's more important, I think, than anything else.
That's a ton of great advice packed into just a couple minutes there. And I know I'm going to be going over to the SmartBug website. I think I'm already subscribed, but I'm sure I can dig back into some of those resources. That's really great to know. So you guys are top level partner with HubSpot, up there with Klaviyo. Do you guys partner with other technologies as well?
We do. We have over 20 different marketing technology partnerships. HubSpot and Klaviyo are our tier 1 partners. So like any business, right? You not everything and everyone can be a priority. That means that no one and nothing is a priority, right? So those are our tier 1s, meaning every single one of our clients is either using HubSpot or Klaviyo. Right. And that's kind of the entry point of really working with us, or they want to use those platforms. And then we have these other platforms that we've hand selected, we've curated this list based on what we know our clients at different stages of their growth might actually end up needing to support their marketing, sales, and customer success efforts. And so those MarTech partners are ones we also really, really enjoy working with. We collaborate with quite a bit, but in a different way than we do with HubSpot and Klaviyo.
Gotcha. And before this, you really worked on the other side of the table because you were helping folks with their channel programs, technologies that wanted to sell through partners. You've kind of seen things from both sides. I'm curious what you think you have in that unique perspective of having worked on one side and now the other.
Yeah, it's a kind of definitely a full circle type of situation, because even prior to joining Allbound, where we were building partner enablement software and partner relationship management software and helping inspire a lot of marketing technology companies to build these partnerships, who are now reach out to me to be a partner, which is great. I ran marketing for a software company, and 90% of our revenue came through our channel. And interestingly, my job was actually to try to displace that a little bit and move it down. So we got to where it was 80%, and then 20% through direct. Long go-to-market strategy story there. It was ultimately really successful. We had a successful exit. It was great. But being in that seat where I was leading marketing, for me, the sun rose and set with anything direct marketing, direct sales. I definitely underestimated the value of these channel partners. My poor, partner leader in that organization, kind of coming in my office, like saying like, this is what he needs. And I was like, I don't understand. Why can't they just do this? Or why can't they just do that? And then moving into Allbound and really spending a deeper amount of time understanding what these organizations need in order to successfully run their channel programs. And now, full circle, right, being one of those channel partners myself. And looking back on even some of the things that I had thought were no-brainers or I had recommended, that now knowing what I know, realizing, okay, I won't say I was misguided, but I will say I underestimated what would be really needed and to make sure that a channel partnership was really successful.
Gotcha. Is there anything specific there, or is that it depends?
No, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of specifics. I think, when you're in charge of revenue at a software company, and you're in charge of that partner channel, right? You probably have some revenue number on your head, right? Of, okay, you have to drive a certain amount of business from this channel. And it's great. And it is so beneficial. I'm sorry, because if I think back to that other company I was at, where 90% of revenue came through the channel, sure, great. Except guess what? Like 80% of that 90% was coming from one partner. So if that one partner left, like that could really dramatically impact our business. And so it's just something to be cautious of. But on the flip side, if you have a number of channel partners that are driving equal or more equitable amounts of revenue, then you have more diversification of your business. And there's a lot of strength there, and also added stickiness depending on how you all are partnering with each other. But it's an exciting opportunity for companies to really kind of grow. But I think where most companies make the biggest mistakes is, and I'm saying companies, not the partner leaders themselves, because I find that those people tend to be really underfunded in their organizations, and expectations from executive teams tend to be much higher, that they don't quite give the program enough time, because it does need time. Because when you build a channel, those channel partners, they're like volunteer salespeople. They don't get paid anything until they refer and help close like your business. So like you have to understand like what's in it for them, and there needs to be certain amounts of enablement, and you have to understand, how do those partners make money? How do they lose money? How do they operate? How is the way they operate different from the way that you operate? And so there's just a lot of moving pieces. So those people who are leading channel programs in an organization, they're almost like a mini CEO in a way, and they need to be enabled as such, really treated as such. And there are some marketing technology companies, of which we're even partners with, that do this extraordinarily well. And there are others where I can see it's not the channel manager's fault. It's this organization didn't really fully understand what they were signing up for when they decided to attach revenue to the channel.
Gotcha. So probably, I guess that makes a ton of sense. So I guess I am always curious about specifics. When you talk about don't give it enough time, don't give it enough resources, what are kind of realistic expectations you would give to a company considering, starting up a channel program?
So I think a short-term channel goal would be a year long. Like giving something a year would be more of a short-term goal, knowing that it's something that will compound over time. And I equate it just to inbound, the idea of inbound marketing. It is not a quick fix, quick hack, like do this once and money falls from the sky kind of, honestly, I don't know anything that is. There's
Sure.
probably a number of things claiming to be, but it is a long-term investment in your intellectual property as an organ, like, and your thought leadership and your position in whatever it is that you do, and it pays off dividends. It really truly does, and we'll see that like 5-10 years, kind of even down the road. Like we as an organization practicing inbound are still reaping the benefits of content that we developed 10 years ago, right? It doesn't mean it hasn't been touched, things have been optimized, but it just builds one on top of another, no different from financial investments. So I think the channel needs to be viewed in a very similar way. Of course, you want to have milestones that let you know you're like headed in the right direction. But I think when I see, hey, we're going to spin up a channel program and we're going to let them ramp for a quarter and expect to see revenue in Q2. If you're building from the ground up, that's really, really, really aggressive. Think like for your business, were you able to actually build your product, build your the sales team, the marketing team, the customer success team, have them ramped? Like how much time did it take you for that? Right. And these are people, again, not on your payroll. So you are not a high priority, most likely to them, right? Depending on what you've kind of negotiated. So a little bit more time, well thought out. And the ultimate timeline will depend based off of what kind of a program you're running. If it's white labeled, if it's a reseller, or if it's a referral, partnership, affiliate, there are so many different ways that you can partner with organizations, and it's still called, quote, the channel.
That's great insight. And I don't know where these expectations come from, right? So I don't remember when I reached out to you to come on the show, but it's been probably a month or something since we got you locked in. And this is a, 1 hour commitment for a podcast. It's not a partnership. It's not anything. So, to think the people who are going to sell your products the best, the partners you really want, they're busy. They have meetings. They're all booked up. And so, starting that relationship, getting them interested, enabling them properly, like, yeah, a quarter is ridiculous. You maybe get one, you get one good partner in a quarter, but the relationships take time because the people you want to be talking with are busy and they're booked up. And, it takes time for things to percolate and the synergies to start working. So I think that's great insight, but yeah, I don't know where those expectations come from, and they seem to be everywhere, and they seem to be coming from people who should know better.
Yes. Well, when you're doing budget planning, forecasting planning, you're trying to hit numbers. It's amazing how you'll negotiate with yourself, even as an executive. So I can empathize. I know how easy it is to get trapped there. But people who have built partner programs and have done it well, I mean, they know, like they kind of have those scars on their back. They know like what's transpired, and everyone's a little bit different, but I mean, and I'm happy to share like some even more specific examples of some of our, some of the relationships I know that we have, or the elements of them, and like how it's working now. Like I think about, we have one of our tier 2, right, partners, and we are doing some extraordinary work with them. We are driving a lot of revenue for them, but it's taken like a little over a year to really get here. Right. And so luckily there was the person on the other end who was, person at that marketing technology company has a wealth of experience, so much experience building channel programs, understood, had the buy-in from the executive team and the board of what needed to be in place, and was really able to architect this properly from the ground up. And then I've got others where we've been partners with them for longer, but we're nowhere close to driving the same amount of revenue because the enablement is completely different.
Gotcha. Let's talk a little bit about that enablement. Where do you feel like you have everything? When you have everything you need, what does that look like?
So the first thing is that speaking from being the agency with hundreds of marketing technology platforms that want us to partner with them, and they want access to our brand, our reputation with HubSpot or Klaviyo, and they want access to our client base, of course, as they should, right? So the ones that like work really well, the first thing they do is they seek to understand our business. They seek to understand our business model of how we make money, how we lose money, how we acquire new customers, when we lose customers, what those folks are looking for. They also seek to understand the way that we just operate, like really like just very like blocking and tackling, like how do we actually function as a business? What does the organization look like? Who is reporting to whom? Where's their plans for growth? I mean, like we're getting really into the details of the organization. So you can see at this point, you've got NDAs in place, of course, you've got partnership agreements, you're really opening up to each other. Because if you try to approach this from a very closed off perspective, you're not going to be successful, right? So that transparency is really, really important. They find out what's the best way that we're currently enabling our teams. So rather than forcing us to, and saying, hey, we want you to come here, or we want you to do this our way, they spend some time up front learning, how do we do it ourselves? When we roll out a new service, what does that look like? When someone has technical questions, who do they go to? What do we leverage? So as a very specific example, we are a fully remote organization. So as you said, almost 200 employees, fully remote. We've never had an office. We never will have an office. When the pandemic hit and everyone was forced to be remote, it was, for the most part, business as usual for us. We were very fortunate in that respect. But because of that, we have a lot of digital infrastructure that makes it actually really easy for us to plug in with other organizations. So my team lives and breathes in Slack, right? That's where we have all of our channels are very, very purposeful. So rather than saying, all right, I know, and I was a founding team member at Allbound, creating a PRM, and there's a place for PRM. There is a place for the deal registration, having access to the content. But however, it doesn't replace the benefit of, we use Slack Connect, and every single one of our MarTech partners is right there embedded inside our Slack instance. And so anyone on my team who wants to engage with that partner to ask quick questions, whether it's about pricing or it's, hey, my client, this client name, is having this kind of problem. Would this be a good solution? That someone can jump in and make those connections. And we're right there, and it's business as usual, the same way that my team would be connecting with their colleagues. And so we've had partners that are resistant because they're like, no, they want to funnel us all through whatever infrastructure they have. And my response is, okay, that's fine. You can demand that. My team, I'm just telling you, you're going to get more business from us if you actually come and play in our playground versus having us leave ours and come over to yours. So the way you can just kind of lean into the way that we work, or getting embedded in our own internal training calendars that we have, our editorial calendars, understanding what is our marketing team working on. And rather than proposing something that's like out of left field, instead say, okay, well, how do we add value to what you're already doing? How do we like just get more juice from the squeeze, right, together? And those are some of the things that honestly, like it probably sounds like, oh yeah, like no big deal, like what? But I'm telling you that somewhere in a vacuum, executives at technology companies are making decisions and deciding the way that they're going to work with these partners without having any insight into how the partners actually operate themselves.
Totally. No, it's like most good advice. It sounds simple once you hear it, but taking that time and yeah, operating where the partners want to operate is a huge one. Having the conversations they want to have when they want to have them, understanding how they do business. I love that. That's something that I've been doing with our partners coming on, understanding, there's a lot of interest in, hey, we'd love to show Incentive Pilot to our customers. First thing I ask is, when would you show them? Do you have, pitch meetings, or is this come at the end of an existing agreement, or, what are these conversations even like? So I can make sure that you have the information you need. So it makes total sense. And if you have never done it before, you probably don't think about it because it is weird. It's challenging enough to build a team and do it internally. It's even more challenging when it's an outside organization. But like you said, they're volunteer salespeople. I like that. I think I'm going to steal that. And it's a good way to frame it because that's exactly what it is. And when you think of it that way, you'll probably think about enabling them differently or think about the relationship differently. But that transparency is so important because if the cards are all on the table, then how are you going to help each other out?
Exactly. And there's something, I think we made a lot of headway this year in coaching our marketing technology partners because we want to drive revenue together through those relationships too, right? We've got goals also. I've got team members that are incentivized to collaborate with partners and drive revenue together. And so if I think about as an agency, yes, I have a sales team, but I have a sales team of like 6 people, right? We have the vast majority of our organization are in our client services org, and they're not salespeople. They are marketing professionals who are providing services to our clients, who are helping solve problems for them. So one of the pieces of advice we gave our partners, and we had them all fill out kind of an intake sheet, and I specifically said, I don't want your marketing or sales kind of like lingo. Like, don't give me a bunch of words that talk about we're going to operationalize your effectiveness, or we're going to accelerate your this or that. Like, no. Like, give me actual like tactical examples. Like, okay, we are a good fit for if your client has a lot of top of funnel leads, but they're really struggling through like deal conversion, right? Something like that. Like, then our solution can help in this very specific way. Like giving us actual examples, almost like storytelling, what we could be looking for, because that makes it a whole lot easier for our team as they're navigating all of these challenges that our clients have to go, okay, there's a number of ways I can help solve this problem for my client. There's some strategy and content, and that's all us, right? But then there might be something else, like maybe it's, you know what? Based off of what this client does and how they help their customers, we think maybe a video marketing or video sales, solution would help them in communicating with these prospects. And so then we might say, we recommend that you use Vidyard and their sales suite that they have. And here's why. And by the way, here's an example case study of a company that looks similar to you that is also has gone through this problem, and then they've come up with a solution. So very, very scenario based is what we found to be really successful.
Absolutely. And that specific pain point that comes up in conversation, right? So important, because it's not the salespeople, it's the customer success people. It is the it's the problem solvers, like you said. So that one scenario, you can have your ears perk up when we don't have traffic here, or we're lacking engagement with trainings, or this, that, or the other. And so you know exactly where to fit in. So that's great advice. So you said when you were on the other side of the table, you underestimated some of the things that you might need as a partner. What were some of those things?
I think I underestimated how much, technology doesn't solve everything. There's still the relationship piece. So it's not just about spinning up a platform and it just does all the work for you. I don't know that I ever thought that specifically, but I think I underestimated how much value is put into like really, especially with like, if you think about like a tier one partner, like a really like white glove treatment that you would provide to those partners. I think I underestimated how important it would be to work in the partner's environment. So what I just described about Slack and about actually being embedded in the organization, if you run the channel for your business, that's potentially very concerning, right? Because you're like, well, wait a minute, like, now I've got things happening somewhere. Now, I should say Slack Connect makes it a lot easier and it's a lot safer because you both have kind of shared ownership. But you could say like, hey, this is now becoming completely decentralized, right? So and how do we, how do we put like more energy into this partner versus another? So I think those are some things I think I underestimated a bit. And assuming like, well, if we spin up a resource center, people will just self-serve and we should just train them to self-serve. And there were so many customers at Allbound who were like, I just don't know if my partners will do that. Like they're still going to ask for stuff via email. And every time I ask one of my partner related, collaborators, right? Like outside of SmartBug for something via Slack or email, there's like a little part of me that's like, I know there's probably a portal where I can actually grab this information. It probably exists, but I'm really, really busy and my customer needs this right now. And so if you want me to pitch you, then like give it to me right now, like hand it over on a silver platter. And so I underestimated that a lot.
Totally. I mean, it's the convenience. It's also the peace of mind. Like, websites aren't always up to date. Portals aren't always up to date. The PDF might look a little different. They might have new video stuff. Like there's so much content and there's so much complexity and it's changing all the time. And it's just more comfortable to get it from the person you trust, right? That this is the latest, the greatest, and I'm on the right track. So that makes sense. And when it comes to these deals and those high tier partners, like it's worth every minute you invest in those relationships. So it makes sense, but I can see the resistance to it. But I think that comes back to the prioritization, like you were talking about. Yeah. If you have those important partners, then you give them all that TLC. And if you have folks that are lower on the totem pole, then maybe they can log in and find it themselves. But or maybe you don't have to be in their Slack, but I think finding that right amount of attention is important for everything, probably everything in life in general, but in partnerships too. That was one of the lessons I learned from houseplants is like the right amount of attention, right? Too much attention, you kill them. Not enough, you kill them. And it's like that healthy relationship. The right amount is the key to everything. So that's your deep lesson of houseplants from Andrew today.
I love it. I can't keep any houseplants alive. I'm horrible.
Well, I've killed my fair share, but that's how I learned.
Nice.
So you got a big event coming up, HubSpot's Inbound conference coming here at the beginning of September. What do you guys have planned for that?
I'm so excited for Inbound. It's been a few years since we were all in person together in Boston, of course, due to COVID. So we had been doing it virtually. This is actually a hybrid event, so both in person and digital virtual. So if you're unable to make it out to Boston, don't worry. You can get a pass, and there's different levels of passes that you can access. I'm super excited. probably most excited to go and hear Barack Obama speak. So that doesn't happen every day. But we're excited because it's an opportunity for us to reconnect with our customers who are there and to spend a little bit of time face to face with them, to collaborate with other partners that we have. And I also host a podcast, the Intelligent Inbound podcast. And I've been deep into recording season 2, and we're going to be recording live from HubSpot's inbound stage. They have a podcast stage specifically, and talking with our CRO, Stephanie Valenti. The topic is on how the two of us, both being women, made it to the C-suite, what our path was like, what are some of the challenges we experienced, and what are some of our learnings from along the way. So I have that session, and we have a couple other team members who are also speaking on very nitty-gritty marketing topics. But we're just really looking forward to reconnecting with, again, all of our customers and partners, and enjoying that event and getting some inspiration too.
Very cool. That sounds like a great conversation. I look forward to that one. Do I get any sneak peeks about what you'll share?
Well, you already know a little bit about how I made it, where kind of I came from here. I will say this. So when I was at that time an attendance software company where 90% of our revenue came through partners, and I was hired to build a direct kind of sales and marketing strategy, I decided to take an inbound approach. So this was back in 2013. And I bought HubSpot. It was really early days of HubSpot, truly. But I believed in the methodology, and we really embraced that inbound methodology, and aligned ourselves from a digital marketing perspective. And we're very, very successful. And I hired SmartBug to build a website hosted on HubSpot CMS because I wanted to leverage smart content to apply the right messaging to the audience, whether they were a partner or they were a direct business that we were going to sell directly to. And that was, something that I was able to do using technology that HubSpot had. And that's how I met the founder of SmartBug, Ryan Malone, and got to know this team. And then at Allbound, later when I joined that team, I actually ended up hiring SmartBug again, but this time on a retainer to be kind of my bread and butter demand generation team. So my history with SmartBug goes back quite some time as being someone from the outside who then loved the results, loved it so much that I was like, I got to get on the inside. I got to be part of this. So there you go. There's a little sneak peek.
Thank you. No, I look forward to hearing the full conversation. You're going to have to let me know when that episode is out. That's awesome.
Of course.
So Jen, I think you shared a lot of really interesting insights about being both sides of the table in the channel. Obviously, you're a wonderful leader and a pleasure to talk to, but the final question is, how good are you at our terribly difficult, terribly addictive video game Tap to Flap? I'm gonna pull up my timer here. If you could click that link in the chat and share your screen, and if you already have it open, just hit refresh so we got a fresh score for you. You want to count me down, and I'll start the timer. If you get a game over, you can just click and keep going. It'll automatically record your high score from our minute.
Okay, this is the most stressed I've been in a while. Let's see here. All right, I'm just doing a 3, 2, 1.
Sure.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
And she's off.
Well, Anna Marie. Well, okay, this is a major user error situation.
Give it a triple click. There you go. Oh, okay. Gotta let it fall a little bit, get through those pipes, but it's tricky.
I have the worst hand-eye coordination apparently, or mouse coordination of
mouse
anybody.
Coordination? That's the next generation.
Is there an award? Is there an award for the worst player ever?
Well, you might tie with the worst if you get 0.
Oh gosh, yeah. I think I've lost all credibility.
Oh, almost won. I was hoping for the 1 right there. There we go. Yeah, she got 1 12 seconds ago. Could she beat 1? Let's see. No, okay.
This is so frustrating.
Okay, that's the end of the minute, but you got 1 point. And in a binary world, that's a win. So thank you for participating, Jen. I don't know where you fall on the leaderboard, but you didn't get 0. You're not last.
well, thank you. Thank you. Very, very, very challenging and very addictive. That's great.
It gets very addictive. Our team will have a little, we'll drop a little challenge in Slack. Everybody play, and we're quite hooked. It's one of the reasons it works well in Incentive Pilot. People get to come back and play every day. So they get to, talk a little trash and get better and better. But when you have your marketing message in the middle of the game, people kind of create a conversation around it, which is a lot of fun. So yeah. Jen, you're going to be at Inbound. People can dig into all the amazing resources on SmartBug's website. If people want to get in touch with you directly, where's the best place to find you?
I would say hit me up on LinkedIn, just Jen Spencer, SmartBug Media, LinkedIn. And if you reach out and connect or send a message, please let me know that you listen to this Enterprise Eyeballs podcast. That way I have the context of knowing how we came to know each other.
And you get that dark social attribution. Okay, thanks so much for coming on the show, Jen. I hope you come back in the future, and maybe you can beat that one flap score.
I'm going to keep playing with this.
Take care.
Thanks, Andrew.